2, 1.
Hi everyone, it's Erkan Ali here with Gill, Tiney and our extra special guest, David Liddle. Hi David, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, so we're kind of like, the setting up conversation was quite interesting because what I've noticed for me about you is we've not really spent that much time together. And really I get there's an established level of trust and respect, and I think we're open to doing something quite interesting today. So why don't you introduce yourself and say hi to the audience?
Hi, my name is David Liddle. It's really interesting watching the pair of you. I'm not sure, are we coming out together or are we like in a line, or how does that work?
We're being recorded exactly as you see it on the screen.
Perfect. Right. Relatively new to BeCollaboration. I think it's an interesting space. Met some really nice people. I think it's taken me a little bit of time to kind of get into it, shall we say? But no, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's great to have you there. I mean, I think you're getting more and more climatized to the space. I imagine was it an unusual space for you at the beginning?
A step outside my comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah. But you seem like you. Well, my experience is like you was happy to be there, but it was just different to what you're maybe used to.
I firmly believe it's important to try new things. So yes.
And also, you've been introduced to it by your business partner, hadn't you, Gavin Perry?
Yeah.
And he was already sort of hook, line and sinker involved with the Essex group and was loving it. So I would imagine, even if you were sitting there going, this is a bit unusual and it doesn't feel quite, well, it's a bit strange, but I guess Gavin's endorsement would have gone some way towards you going, okay, I'll go for the next visit and I'll see what's going to come out of it. Because what we often talk about on BeCollaboration is left brain, right brain conversations. And quite often we find that the accountant or the person that is the detail-driven left brain person isn't that attuned to the BeCollaboration vibe, which is more right brain, creative, future thinking paradigm. So on paper, I would have put you into that little box of left brain, mathematical, financial, mortgage consultant. Would you say that's a fair assessment, or are you one of those people that kind of go, well, that's my day job, but actually this is what I'm really like?
A bit of both. I very much think if you saw my notebook, you'd see I'm very much box thinking. But that's also why I think it's important to do this separately, because I don't want to be sat and held in comparison to somebody else, because that doesn't really benefit me. You know, if I'm working on a day-to-day basis, I do sit and draw my little diagrams and box it all, because that's the way I rationalize stuff in my head. It keeps everything as simple as it can be, which is the right way for me to deal with things. But I do still want to not be that pinstripe suit. It's a number of years since I put a pinstripe suit on, but that's not what I want to do on a daily basis.
No, I get it.
You know, that's.
And what would you say because you're relative? I mean, I think it's coming up to a year, isn't it? It's not been a year yet, has it?
Yeah, nearly.
Yeah.
No, that's what I thought. Yeah, February, March. So you're coming up to your first year. How would you say? It's been an eventful year for all of us. I think for you for many reasons. But I mean, how would you say that the learnings or the insights that have come from being part of the community, how are they finding their way into your life, would you say?
I think the use of language is really important. I mean, I've learned the use of language from NLP and coaching courses anyway, and I think that has helped in delivery to clients. It's helped in charity stuff. The charity stuff's amazing because the use of the language just is incredible. People talk to each other in the volunteer space very much as they would a business, and they actually forget that people are giving their time up for free, and you can't necessarily talk to them in a business capacity. It's not like someone's your boss. So that makes a big difference. And I just say that the fact for me, the fact that I'm even entertaining the use of different language and this kind of thing is a big step forward. So that's good.
I think language is one of those things that kind of pre-subscribes a certain formula and pattern that you've been conditioned into.
Well, you learn you learn to play to a role, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So
that's what an occupation is.
Yeah, we're just not just occupation, but I think in our culture, when we first started, we started talking about love and connection and authenticity and heartbeat, and people just like, what are you talking about? You know, it's like really, we did pitch a lot of people in the early days, just the idea of that, and they'd be like, okay, so how do we make money out of this?
What's your business?
And we're like, well, we just want to make the world a better place, you know, along with other things.
Apparently, that's not enough for some people. they need more. They need to know all the ins and outs.
But also how you use language is a really interesting, and how you go into different cultures, even jargon, and you know, go into different types of professions, and jargon's different and cultures are different. So what attracted you? Have you always been in the financial, you know, since you started working, or how has money been part of your life? Was it that the mother and father involved in finance, or, you know, at what point did you kind of go, my life's about money, or did you never do that?
My life isn't about money.
No.
My life isn't about money. That's not me. I do.
Thank you for putting me straight.
No, but it's not. It's not. I'd be happier out in the countryside every day of the week. But having
is that your background? Is that where you grew up in the countryside, or you're townie?
No, I'm happier in the outdoors. I mean, I either have a suit on or I have t-shirt and shorts on. I don't have any other. Doesn't matter what the weather is. That's just me.
So in terms of finance, because I don't know that much about exactly what you do for a living. That's funny about BeColl, isn't it? You've been around 9 months. So I don't really know. I know it's money. So how would you describe what you do for a living right now?
I'm practice principal of a mortgage brokerage, which is basically mortgage and protection consultancy. So it's putting people into debt and managing their debt, and then making sure they properly protect it.
And is that what the business does as a whole, or is that what you're doing within the business?
That is the function of the mortgage brokerage, which I do on a daily basis. That's the primary function.
Right, for you and Gavin, that's what I mean.
No, for me, on a daily basis, that's that bit of the business is my responsibility.
Right, and how long? When did you first start in that industry or in that sector?
Probably about 10, 15 years ago.
All right, okay. And before that?
General financial services.
And have you always been a kind of independent, or did you ever work in big corporates, or did you come from banking?
I've always worked for small companies.
Yeah, so you've never been part of the big corporate world in that respect?
No, never worked for a bank, or never worked for one of the big insurance companies.
No, okay. And
good place to learn. But
no, I get it. But would you say where were you originated from? Because I kind of pick up a bit of an accent, but I'm not sure. You're not London, are you?
No,
You're sort of like me. Put it that way.
No.
Where's the origins?
Edinburgh till I was about 7.
And then
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Oh.
And then Maidenhead and Berkshire, so home counties.
Home counties, Edinburgh.
You sound West Country though, don't you?
Yeah.
Where's that from? No.
No.
You've just chosen to.
So was that your family moved down from Edinburgh, and that was as a child you came down, I imagine, or
yeah. At 7, I didn't have much choice. Family. My dad used to build pharmaceutical sites, and so he moved down to build a pharmaceutical building down in the south, and we moved down accordingly.
So they're Scottish.
Yeah. And what do you remember of that? I mean, how did it change? Because one of the things that's really interesting about the JOP is kind of tracking the journey. How did that, that's quite a big move. Oh, it wasn't, well, it is from Scotland to England, they're different countries. But how was that for 7-year-old David Liddle, that move, new school, new environment? Do you think that played a big part in your life, or was you kind of like,
nope,
Just
whatever?
get on with it.
At 7, you get on with it. Don't you? You're not in control. You're at that age. You're trusting somebody else to be in control. So no.
It's interesting how some people will go through something like that, and it turns into a traumatic experience that they
it
shouldn't be. No, absolutely. But it depends on your outlook on life. If you're one of these shy, introverted children, then to move not only away from your family home, but then to move to a different school and then to a different area. All of a sudden it becomes so big that they become, let's say, this trauma that goes with it. And then they become the odd person at school. They're the one that's left out. La di da di da. But you've just kind of gone, yeah, there's life, you know. You get
Is that you in life?
I was just going to say,
is that you? I wouldn't have been that cool about it.
I've got a twin, so I think to have a buddy at that age, it's really funny watching you make notes.
Well, we didn't know you was a kid until about 30 seconds ago.
I want to know, identical or non-identical?
Oh no, Christ no. Oh, sorry. No, very different. Completely different. But I think if you've got somebody who is the same age as you in the same family, then you've got a buddy, haven't you?
Yeah.
So going on holiday, I think, can be quite a lonely thing for a kid. But if you've got somebody else that you can go and do stuff with,
I've always said to my kids, from the age of 4, when you first start, or 3, when you first start play school, all you want them to do is find a friend, and you had your built-in friend you could take with you, so long as you got on with him. If you couldn't get on with him, it wasn't going to work quite so well. But So
is there kind of a special relationship with twins that you think people kind of have that perspective that there is? Would you say there was for you?
Yes and no.
Thank you for helping us out.
Expand.
That's very clear. Thank you.
You could be. It would be perfectly acceptable to beat living daylights out of each other. But if somebody else tried to do it, that'd be absolutely unacceptable. So it's all fair in love and war, shall we say?
So deep-rooted loyalty, and is that still the relationship you have with your brother?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
good mates.
And any other siblings in the house?
A younger sister.
She messed it all up, didn't she? She turned up and got all the attention. That's just me letting go from my past.
And you're not even a twin.
No, I'm not.
That's the first twin, I think, in BeCollaboration, you know,
Yeah,
as far as I know. I can't think of
them.
anybody else.
Yeah, I can't recall any.
So different twins are different. I mean, we've I've known lots of different twins over the years, and some are closer than others.
Some are.
The annoying thing growing up as a twin, some are closer than others. The most annoying thing growing up as a twin is when you get dressed in the same thing. Really?
I used to do that to my girls. They hated it.
Everything the same.
It's annoying. Yeah.
Really annoying.
We talk in BeCollaboration about the first point of collaboration is like from concept, from conception. And every idea that's conceived, but you're the ultimate collaboration from day one, really.
Yeah, the egg split, and there you were. Hello.
Yeah, let's collaborate. Yeah, we won't kill each other, but
well, my brother had twins recently, about coming up for 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, March will be 3 years, and he had them late. So, and I can tell. I mean, I've got 2 daughters, but you know, and I had them late, but they were split like by how many years, whatever it is, 5 years, or whatever it is, right? So, yeah, I can imagine twins are quite a handful. And what stories does your mum remind you of as kids growing up, or your dad?
Not really stuff that we would have done together. More silly things. It's more silly outdoorsy stuff, I would say.
So tell us about the outdoorsy stuff from grown-up David. You do a lot of Keep Fit, don't you?
I have done in the last couple of years, yeah.
So what bonkers things have you done that other people might go, really? Why would you want to do that?
I spent a lot of time paragliding when I was younger. I haven't done that for a while. I've done lots of fitness stuff just because I wanted to do it, really. I think primarily because somebody said I couldn't do it, so I went and did lots of them. And then went and did 100 kilometres twice, and I've got more of those this week. Dragging Gavin along to do one this year, that's going to be quite interesting.
Wow.
Don't kill him.
I'm not entirely sure he's thought that one through yet, but
yeah, sometimes you say yes.
Did he have a little glass of wine at the time?
You can imagine them two going like this. Because last time I saw you, we left you at the Christmas party, and you two had, I think, the second bottle of wine lined up.
I was nothing to do with the ordering of it, but it did appear, yes.
It did appear.
And you helped to get rid of it.
It'd be rude not to. Rude not to.
When you say do 100 kilometres, are you talking swimming, cycling, mountain climbing?
Oh, running in one go.
In one go?
Yeah.
And is that like, do you do that over, what, how long? How long do you do 100 miles?
It depends on the terrain, but probably somewhere between 15 and 18 hours. It depends on the it depends on the terrain and how hilly it is.
I imagine it'll slow you down quite a bit when you've got a gradient.
Oh yeah. And even going down. So it'd be interesting. I really enjoy doing it because I enjoy doing stuff that's just for me. Not in a selfish way, but because I spend so much of my time, I spend all of my time basically doing stuff for other people and with other people's traumatic experience or their perceived traumatic experiences. So I really enjoy switching my phone off and going and doing something that is just for me.
And nobody can interrupt.
Well, they can interrupt. They're going to get ignored because.
But you get in the zone, don't you? Is it like a form of meditation? You kind of can tune out everything else.
I quite like going doing it on my own. I really do. I think the annoyance of to try and do something like that with somebody else is awkward because everybody does things at a certain pace. And if you're going to go that distance, it's really hard to find someone who's going to do it at the same speed.
Yeah.
So you're either going to, one's faster or one's slower, or, you know, it'll be interesting with Gavin. Let's just say that. I'm quite looking forward to it.
Where is it and when is it? We might have to be there taking photos. I'm very good sport. Don't do the
it's May next year, actually, around the Isle of Wight.
Oh, wow.
Did you say round the Isle of Wight?
Yeah.
Round the whole...
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
okay.
so
That looks like fun.
And then there's another one I've entered as well. So that's good.
So presumably London Marathon is a piece of cake for you.
Well, I did the London Classics last couple of years, which is the London Marathon, the 100-mile cycle, and then the serpentine swim.
Oh.
But annoyingly, I've not got into the London Marathon on the ballot, and I do enough for charity as it is, so I don't really want to have to sit and worry about raising money to get a marathon ticket. I've got other ways that I'm thinking of trying to get into that. Anyway, I'll go and do it in a heartbeat if I get a place. I just need to. Yeah, I need to wheedle my way in.
Okay.
So what is it you're not? Sorry, Jim. Sorry. What is it you're not? What is it you'd like to achieve within BeCollaboration? That because one of the things we're saying is, together we can achieve more, and we can, the idea of collaboration is get together with others and achieve things that you just can't do on your own. You need others to make them happen because there's loads of things we can do as individuals. You just go do those things, and they take effort, and you fail and you succeed, and that's that journey. But in terms of collaborating, my experience of you up until now has been, you're a participant in the audience. I think you did core value a little while ago. So now you're at the front of the room, and I imagine, have we got any known-be-knowns lined up?
Yeah. So
what have you speculated about what you'd like to do that you've never got round to doing because there weren't the people or the timing or whatever? Is there anything on your mind around that?
My natural position is not to be sat on a pedestal. It's to be pushing from within a team. I function very, very well within a team and dealing with whatever I have to deal with. That's not a problem. But I am better. My natural position is to be sat within a team, pushing that team forward.
And how do you push a team?
Sorry?
How do you push a team? What's your, how are you? I mean,
as in, would I sit there and shout at them and tell them what to do, or would I get?
Like what you're doing? You setting out the plan. You make sure everyone's taking. Are you more of a supporter, or you kind of lead with
100%? 100%. You can't sit and shout at other people to do stuff if you're not willing to do it yourself. So I get involved. Of course I do. You can't. It's like you can't tell somebody who's doing an admin job to do it faster unless you understand that job inside out and understand what the issues are and understand what the challenges are. I think that's the biggest problem. One of the biggest problems in our industry is that you've got too many people who want to do the consultative bit, but they don't understand the compliance and the detail that goes in the bottom. And everybody whinges and complains about paperwork, but nobody likes paperwork anyway. You have to understand it in order to get somebody else to do a good job.
And like most industries, I suppose compliance has got, deeper and wider, and there's more and more and more.
Yes.
Where do you think all this compliance is taking us?
Compliance basically is in response to really the claims culture, which is very much were very much derived from the States, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of where it is. It's going to get worse before it gets better, I think.
Mm.
But I mean, we'll see. I don't think it's not going to go away. And I think each industry compliance is about controls and measures and making sure it's done right. That's all it is. And I think you should embrace those things instead of being frightened of it.
When I went to Los Angeles a few years ago, I had the pleasure of seeing Stephen Covey Jr. talk, and he talked about the speed of trust, which I believe is now a book.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells a story about how Warren Buffett was going to do a deal with the guy who owned Walmart at the time, and he was going to buy it off of him. And apparently all of the lawyers that were around were like, great, that's at least 9 months, if not a year's worth of work. We're going to get paid millions. It's going to be amazing. It's a $10 billion deal. And apparently, because they knew each other so well and had been talking about it over the golf course and over lunch and everything, the actual deal was done purely on a handshake. And all the solicitors and the lawyers were like, oh, you got to do that. And so he said, yes, and I want the paperwork in my office tomorrow. So it was all signed, sealed and delivered within like 48 hours.
Yeah.
He said, when you trust someone, all the bureaucracy and everything goes out the window. Everything can be done cheaper and faster when you've built up that relationship. And that's one of the things that we believe in BeCollaboration, is having that honest, open, authentic, trustworthy relationship. Things can be done faster and more efficiently. And
100%. I think the importance of compliance and notes and records and stuff is basically about just justifying that everything's right. If you fall back onto that, then the relationship has fallen down from the start, hasn't it? That we do everything based on relationship. And I think if somebody came in and said, can you prove your point? We'd always be able to prove the point, but then you haven't got a relationship. They should be going somewhere else. 100%.
Interesting.
So what do you think is happening in the UK property market? I mean, do you get asked about that, or are you looking at particularly from a point of view that like, they want to borrow X amount, we're going to find them X amount, we broker it, get them the money, or do you have views about how things are going with Brexit? I mean, again, I know I said to you about, what did you say earlier on? Was it held to what you might say today? But I'm not looking for professional advice, but more like, given you have an insight into that, what would you be saying about it?
The marketplace at the moment is what the marketplace is. It's from our business point of view. So long as there is confusion and upset in the marketplace, it's good for business. But that's really bad for clients. It's really bad for Joe Public who are trying to get ahead, trying to buy a house, whatever. And I think it almost fosters more of a distrust. And it makes it overly complicated, which is just ridiculous. That is just insane. The whole Brexit thing is, my wife's French. I spend a lot of time in France. Basically, the UK has gone for a hard divorce instead of going through marriage counselling, which is just insanity. I mean, it's just the whole thing is just insanity, to the point that you can't trust any of the key indicators that you've normally trusted. So you can't trust economics. You definitely can't trust politics. So who do you trust? You go with your gut instinct. Have you got all the information? Have you not got all the information? It's an insane position to be in. It really is insanity.
Would you say that? But that's causing a whole lot of stagnation or uncertainty, because I think finance and economy is based on some kind of certainty. You know, this happens, then this happens, and those things happen, and it's all about prediction. You want to, whether it's you're running your company, you've got to report to the shareholders, we're going to do these things, and then this is going to happen. And at the minute, like you said, you can't trust the economists, you can't trust the politicians. It's really kind of like, it's very unstable. There's a lot of, fake news, and there's just it's very convoluted rather than complex. I think it's complex as well, but it's kind of just a state of confusion.
The fact that there is such a thing as called fake news shows what an utter shambles things have got to. It's just stupidity. Because what is fake news? Lies, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's now justified as it's fake news. It's lies. It's misleading people deliberately. You're deliberately causing upset, frustration, and that's not right.
But do you think that's a new thing? I mean, the research I've been doing over the last how many years is
no, I don't think it is. I think it was called politics before.
Yeah. So if you could wave your magic wand, what would happen in your industry?
Actually, I think the best thing that could ever happen was to get people to work together. Now, not necessarily in different companies.
Revolutionary.
Well, to get people
ahead of your time, you are.
To get people to talk, and to get people to talk and communicate with each other, because I think the problem you've got is that everybody has been so much put into so much of a competitive mindset that they're competing with the very people who they should be working with for the client experience, and they're not even in competition. The attitude that we get from occasionally from solicitors and accountants, we're all in the same transaction. We're all working for the same client. And you get the legal language of, oh, my client says this and my client says that. So hang on a minute, we've introduced the client to you. Yeah. So I understand you're now speaking a compliance language, but what you're not doing is you're not working with the team of people who are all doing their individual bits, and they're not in competition in any way, shape or form to achieve the common goal that the client wants. And it's really difficult to word emails to other industry people. We do it regularly, to say, look, we're not, we are going to ask these questions of you because that's what we do. It's not picking a fight. It's not being rude. It's not being aggressive. But if you come back and the answers are not clear, or the client doesn't understand, we're going to ask again. Yeah. It is quite staggering the number of times. Solicitors are the worst, and I think it's just because they're trained to operate in a certain way.
They're trained some way. They say that house moving was it the second or third most stressful thing you can go through? And when having experienced it several times, when you know the estate agent and the mortgage consultant and the solicitor and everybody else that, the planning department get involved, and you can see the emails going around, and they, as you say, they ask a question and the answer doesn't come back, and then something else happens and it doesn't. And it's like, why are you not just talking to each other? The last time I moved, I got to the stage where I'm ringing up the solicitor and they're going, oh, I'm sorry, they're at lunch. Is there nobody else in the whole company that can find out if my money has gone through from one purchase to the next?
Yeah, the problem that you have is that so many people now hide from communication with the client, you ring up and you say, well, there's 100 people in your building. Please don't tell me they're all on lunch at the same time, because A, they're not. Yeah. Unless you've got a fire in the building, then it might be empty. Somebody in there can help. But people are they want to keep everything in such straight lines so they don't make a mistake, so that somebody doesn't say the wrong thing or send the money the wrong place. We don't get involved in money, but they basically try and keep everything in straight lines, which is all well and good. But if you've got lots of transactions on the go at the same time, you need to delegate that. And the client needs to have, they need to know that the team that you're working with is there to support you, as opposed to, we used to work with a guy who would call the admin team his PA, and he would talk down, he would basically be derogatory about them as if they were his staff, if you like. And yes, they were there to support the team, but because he spoke about them in that way, whenever something wasn't exactly as expected, the client would instantly call him instead of them, which defeats the purpose of having the support in the first place. And what he should have done is actually talk up the team, because they're the ones who do it. A company is not made of one person; it's made of a team of people. And especially in our industry, it doesn't work without a team. You have to have a team. I know that team will have different skill sets, there'll be different people, there'll be different people inside the office and outside the office, but, And
that's what's a shame with a lot of these teams, is that is their normal. That is what they think happens everywhere, and that's what they think should happen. So
yes.
they're constantly taught how to cover their backs and keep the head down and just do what they have to do. And then
that's what it's about. It becomes a compliance function
yeah.
Instead of a client service. And compliance is about covering things and making sure it's correct. It's not about how you run a business. It should be about client service. And clients, then it also goes the other way. So you will get the clients who'll ring you literally every 5 minutes because they've received a letter. It's like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Or you send a text message saying, I can't answer, and they expect you to ring back in 5 minutes. So it's a hard one to balance. But it's also, I think if you can be open and honest with clients about it and just talk about the challenges, they're human beings as well.
I was just going to say that. We forget, don't we, that it's all human beings. People go, oh, all the solicitors are like this. And actually, there's probably one solicitor in there that is a human being that's actually functioning in the way that you want them to. You miss that because you have this blanket approach to, oh, estate agents are like this, the solicitors are like that.
I've got a question. So tell us a bit about your relationship with Gavin. I mean, how did you guys meet? Because starting a business with someone is quite a... I mean, Jill and I... we don't think of ourselves as business partners, but we are. But, you know, we are partners in crime.
I'm not doing time for you.
It's too late, I've grassed you up. Anyway, so you know, how do you... Because we've had a really challenging this year. You know, it's been challenging when the pressure's up and there's cracks and, you know, you can hear the boat creaking, you know, from this, you know, how you handle those things. How because you've been working with Gavin now, what, like you said, what, 15 years?
Not well, in different companies and so much before.
Okay, so there's an established working relationship. But I saw you two the other day, and I just kind of got, these guys are actually friends. They look like they're really good friends. I've never really seen you two together.
Right. Okay. Well, that's because he's in Essex and I'm not.
Yeah. But both of you together the other day, and I just saw you just sitting there talking. Everyone was yapping away, drinking wine. I thought, oh, they're looking like they're having a good time here. So how would you say, what have you learned about being in business with a long-term associate or partner? Is it just you two that run the company?
No, we've got a team.
But I mean, do you own the company?
We have a team. We have a team of bodies who effectively are the guts of the three companies, and you need to have that. You know, I primarily do the compliance side of things because I'm wired more that way. He does more of the how did you put it earlier on? The more artistic side of things.
So does he wine and dine everyone and do all the schmoozing, networking? I'm networking. Leave me alone.
This is where you're digging me a big hole, you see. So no, I will say no to that point. But we know we're different in the way they do things. I will always have more of a suit mentality because I think if you're talking mortgage lending, people expect you to look a certain way. They expect you more to be dressed in a suit and a tie and have a certain approach.
So if somebody was to come to you and didn't know you from Adam, first time they've met you, they don't know that you're a mortgage consultant.
Yeah.
What would you say is your genius that you have to bring to a business working relationship?
I think we're the way that I do everything is sense check it first. And I always tell clients, is this right? Is there something that doesn't quite stack up? Might not always know what that is at that point. Is this something that we can do or is it not? And I know that in 20 minutes usually. And I think the difference is I'm always honest about it. If I don't know, I'll say. And I would rather say to somebody, this is, I don't know, or I don't have an answer that I would trust right now. Let me go and find it and I'll come back to you. Rather than saying, yeah, pay your fees, you know, and then we'll worry about the detail later. I just think that's disingenuous. There's a lot of people in our industry will worry about getting money off clients as quick as possible before actually giving the client what they want. And I've never been comfortable with that approach, just because it's just dishonest, frankly. I don't think it's right.
You know, we've been articulating the fear, scarcity, competition paradigm within BeCollaboration.
Yeah.
If you're operating inside of that, you can see why it's very transactional. It's very kind of nail the client, you know, pin them down, close them, you know, because it's about the fear, scarcity, competition. If you don't, someone else will. You've got an opportunity, nail it. You know, and I think we've been creating a conversation and a dialogue within the community about what is it to operate from a sense of love, connection, and abundance. And what I'm hearing in what you're saying is a clear understanding of that in terms of, you know, treat people with respect, sense check it. Is this the right thing to do? Are we serving people? You know, is there integrity in what we're doing? And the thing is, your values do cost you something. You can't go around being like that, but it costs you something. But there's also a lot of payback. There's a lot of equity you build up with people when you operate that way.
You're investing in relationships, aren't you?
Mm.
So we don't invest any money in marketing at all.
Mm.
And we do social media and all that jazz because you've got to do that, don't you? But all the clients we've got have come from referrals, and that's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you've got to do the right thing. Because if you don't, the whole rule of how many people do people tell when they're upset about something in comparison to when they're happy.
I think it's 3,000 now with the internet. Click.
You know, it's an investment in time, and I think it makes things an awful lot easier. If I meet somebody through an estate agent, you're going through this revolving door thing. Whereas if a buddy of a buddy rings up and says, you know, I've been told you'll sort this out. Yes, I'll sort it out. You give me this, I'll do this. Done. You know, there's no the time that's wasted is reduced massively. And annoyingly,
so invested in, I believe, or what we practice, is investing in relationships is probably the best investment you can make in life. Yeah, good and I think that you know, that expands to community. And something we're talking a lot more about, the power of community, the fabric of it. You know, just being at our end of year celebration, just seeing everybody, and I think I posted something afterwards. I said, you know, it's the experience of family. It's like being with people that there's more to it than just what you do or trying to make a living or getting something out of it. You're actually happy to just be a part of it in a way that I think we don't get. I don't experience that in many places.
It is strange. It is quite strange though to spend so much time in company of different people when you've got absolutely no idea what any of them do. And
I think when it's relevant, it becomes important. But you've got a relationship to lean on. You know, you've got a relationship to lean on because you've established values and.
Yes, yeah. I don't mean that as a derogatory comment.
No. I hear what you're saying. I think let's say tomorrow, you know, I get an inquiry and I've got a need for what you do. I wouldn't have any. You know, you kind of go, well, that's obviously David Liddle got to do with that, or Gavin. You know, I want to be like, it's not what you do, it's who you are that's important, and what you do is just what we need done right now. Yes. That's about as the long and the short of it, because maybe that's what the client needs, or that's the best fit for them. But the time and the care that's taken to understand each other and build that trust without transaction being the main focus, I still think it's really powerful.
Yeah, I agree, and it's very unusual.
I've got another question for you. A while back, maybe like quite a while ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, I heard that the average age of the first-time buyer was around 38 years old.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Is that still the case, or?
Well, it depends where in the country, but I mean, if you look down south at the cost of property, it's just ridiculous. How does any first-time buyer get on the ladder? Unless
How old were you when you first bought your place? What was your first purchase?
Oh, late 20s, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, probably late 20s.
What about you?
I think I was 19.
It's interesting that he's younger than us.
It depends. It depends on where people live, though, and what they're doing. I think there's and what the environment that you grow up. I mean, there's lots of people who are encouraged to disappear or friend the world for years at a time. And I think there's massive value in that, because I think there's huge value in having experience.
University of life.
When you can, you know, university's not ideal for everybody.
Absolutely.
That doesn't make it a good thing or a bad thing. I think that certainly when we were younger, when I was younger, everybody was kind of pushed that, you know, you went to university or you're useless. And it's just like, well, that's not really right. Whereas nowadays, it's more proactively pushed to have apprenticeships and positive things that actually get people from A to B. And when they're kind of late 20s, you actually currently find that people are miles better off having gone that route than the ones who've gone off to do random degrees.
I've got a question. So in terms of 2019, I mean, my experience of you is, and I remember doing your orientation.
Yeah.
And as I was talking, so I had no idea what I was talking about. I could see on his face. He's like yeah, I'll carry on. I'm like, I don't think you really got. I don't think that's really there. And that's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. Don't worry about me.
Cry,
I'm fine. But I can definitely see there's been a shift in your relationship to the community. I think I've seen you shift. But in terms of what does 2019 hold? Because you say you want to get more. From what I understand, you want to get more involved. You want to get. Is that right? Am I making the right assumption in the community as a whole?
Yeah, I'm more comfortable being involved in something than sitting around the periphery. I find sitting around the periphery, just going along with it and turning up, a waste of time and slightly embarrassing. Because I just think, if you're going to do something, get involved. If you're not going to get involved, don't come, because there's no point.
But I think you've taken some time to allow yourself to to acclimatise to the nature and the intentions of the space that we're creating at BeCollaboration. And I think my experience of you over the last few months is that you feel very comfortable now. And I think it's the time where you can go, right, I can get involved in, to another level.
I've not engaged as much as I could have done because I've had other family issues over the summer. Sure. That's why. I mean, that's restricted by.
One of the things I like about you, though, is that now you are this person that for a lot of collaborators, they go, oh yeah, I'll come to the London meeting, and I don't know if they're going to come to the London meeting. But I'm now at the stage where I go, well, David's coming. You know, I don't even have to talk to you or see it.
I can't do that. I find it very disingenuous not to turn up.
Exactly, and that's what I like about you, is this kind of, you've made a commitment, so at the very least you're going to be there.
And if not, she knows where you live. I've got another question. Where do you live? I'm pretty sure you were at the Engage launch, Engage introduction.
Yes.
Yeah, I good. Because when you're presenting, you don't always remember where everyone is, and also from the camera, you can't tell. But I remember you being there, and how is the Engage side starting to, because it's still early days in terms of what everyone knows, and I'm working on things in the background, but how do you see yourself, how would you like to be involved in that? Is that something you'd like to be involved in? So obviously, the time out to come.
I think the whole idea of the whole concept is perfect in reality, because it's brought about with the intention of getting the different products and services to work collaboratively together. Yeah. And that, I think, is probably with the honesty and integrity of the way that it should be rolled out. I think it's pretty unique in the marketplace. It was interesting listening to the conversations on the night about how different people thought it should be rolled out and how it would work. And frankly, it's impossible to get that right. It's impossible to get a rollout because you don't know who you're doing it, what your target is, what your product provision is. I think the intention of that evening was to basically say, here's an idea, what do people think and how does it work? And that is brilliant. It's a brilliant idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it will need people to be very open-minded in how they interact with other people, because even although there's people in the group, actually that's not fair to say. I think people are not generally, they don't work in a collaborative way in their business lives generally. I know that more from us, because we literally every day are saying we should be doing this together, to solicitors and accountants as an example. And I think in lots of other businesses that they don't, because they're worried about losing control or losing kudos with the client or whatever. But in reality, if everybody comes at with the same I guess the same heart maybe, or the same honest intention, then it should work perfectly. And I think clients, or whatever those may be, would be a lot happier because they would see that people are genuine in their intentions. I don't know, because it's hard. It's not one picture, is it? It's going to be a moving picture, and it's going to be lots of different scenarios and lots of different people involved. But as long as the underlying ethos is concerned, and as long as that sticks and is what everybody, you know, I guess a way of working, isn't it? Then it should be fantastic.
Exactly. That's the whole concept, isn't it? Because if you've got this cooking pot of a community that are working within the culture, then they're taken out and they're working with a client over here who maybe doesn't have this culture.
Yeah.
If it goes wrong, or should I say when it goes wrong, because quite often there are mistakes that happen, or there's something that's not quite right, or they're challenging or taking on something that's bigger than they anticipated. If there are issues along the way, when you've got that strong culture, you forgive each other and you move on and you create something better. When you haven't got that culture, somebody will throw their toys out of the pram and they'll disappear and everything kind of collapses in and dissolves and it's no good for anybody.
Yes.
So understanding how to pull together when it goes wrong
is the most important thing.
And understanding that when it goes wrong is the best thing, because that's when you're learning and that's when you find a better way to do something rather than go, oh, this is what we've always done, let's do this again. The client doesn't get the best from you unless you are pushing the envelope, for want of a better expression.
Also working together. I think there's lots of people don't necessarily understand how different industries could work together, or indeed how people work. And I think it's also about managing expectation. If you're open and there's being, I always think that clients will never really understand how much we do for them until something goes really wrong. But in reality, the client, if they're coming to you for something, they should never see that. You know, you're there to protect them and to not govern the process, basically to kind of grease the wheels and make it work.
I was at a convention in the States about 9-10 years ago, a while back, and the speaker was Wolf Hengst, and Wolf Hengst was the CEO of Four Seasons Hotel. And he talked about, you know, the challenges of running that kind of, you know, hotel. He said, and the key thing is if you're running an organization whose, if you like, primary offering is invisible, because great service is invisible. Yeah. You don't know, and you don't know that you don't know what went on to get you what you got. You just know when it's not invisible. It's you see all the wheels the wheels flying off, and you know you see the problems with it. You know, and quite often. In fact, I was talking to a client today, he's in the trades. And he kind of, that penny really dropped for him. I said, because, you know, the trades, they turn up and they go, oh, loads of traffic and the last client this, and we didn't time the part. And you kind of getting all this drama. And all you want to know is just turn up and fix my, you know, whatever it is, you know, have that happen. And I was speaking to a prospect today. And he said, I've been introduced to you by someone quite high level, heavy, high level hitter type of thing. So it's like just a friend going, oh, you need to speak to John. It's like someone who's gone, I think they, you know, you put us in touch, right? And so I know a bit about your situation, but I don't know too much. Why am I talking? He goes, well, I think I've already sorted it out. I've got someone in mind. Well, that's great, no problem. That's fine. No problem at all. He says, well, tell me what is it you do? I think minute and a half. He goes, can we book an appointment? Can you come to our offices next week? And it was the dynamic or the collaborative consultancy offering. And within that, whatever he had a need for, we had something, you know. And I think he picked up on HR, funny enough. He says, yeah, we do have a bit of a HR issue, but the HR issue could be a function of, I don't know, leadership or communication or morale. You know, it could be another, you know, you've got an HR issue because people are not happy probably, right? Yeah. And going in as a multidisciplinary approach is something that whoever we talk to, we can solve a problem. Yeah. What is your pain? What is your problem? So you need to raise mortgage. You need to do this. You need to. What's your problem? That was to be our strap line. What's your problem? Or what are you looking at? Do you know one of our early strap lines was, we played with this, was we have friends in the right places.
You were playing.
I liked it anyway. I still like it. I think that's the way to go. But it was kind of like, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, I think I like the metaphor of the Harrods or Selfridges, you know, like you go in there and they'll have something for everybody. You know, whether you want to spend a lot of money on jewelry or you want to buy a little bit of whatever, you know, whatever, you know, the whole gamut. But as soon as you walk through the door, you know there's a culture and a value wrapping all the products and services.
Yeah, so something for everybody without necessarily trying to be everything to everyone.
No, and I think it's, I mean, some, you know, if someone comes to me with a, well, actually, we have a trump card called context. So almost like whatever they've got, context is key. So we've got a way of helping them. But if someone said to me, "Oh, I need I don't know, a VAT specialist, blah blah blah," and we don't have one in the, you know, in the community, or we don't have anyone we readily know, I could put a shout out to the community, say, "Hey, do we have a VAT specialist that deals with international transactions?
Knows someone.
Introduce them to me," and then they'll go through the, you know, the process, if you like. I don't know the word, but yeah. But you know, it's kind of like we can attract more talent because there's a need for it. You know, how would you say 2019 is going to, you know, in what areas would you like to grow within the community in 2019? Because we did an exercise, didn't we, at the end of the year? We talked about failures, regrets, breakdowns. We talked about successes in last year, and then we talked about what you want to, who you acknowledge. But we also talked about what areas you want to have breakthroughs in next year. What do you think would be very valuable for you that you could source through the community in some way?
I think learning how to get people to work more collaboratively, faster. Because I think every time we have a conversation with people about working together in a more human being friendly way, it does sink in a little bit. But it'd be really great if there was a kind of a magic pill that you could send them over where they got it.
Now you talk in my language, right? So the Be Inspired program, Discover Your Genius, was and is a aid to that. Because if we're going to operate from our genius, we're going to transform from fear, scarcity, competition to love, connection, abundance, and operate from what is our natural genius. Yeah, that means I can be free in the moment with you, and you can be free in the moment with me, given that we have completely disparate skills, completely different. Skills sit behind the human being, not the other way around.
They don't. In most conversations, they don't, because people are playing a role, or they're playing what they think somebody wants to hear.
Exactly. I mean, I can get that about the legal profession as well. Yeah. Because there's a lot of hubris and I'm generalising heavily, but my experience of law-related individuals is that they want to dominate it, or they want to pull rank, or there's that kind of...
Yeah.
So would it be useful for you to have somebody like a solicitor within the community that you could build a relationship with, that would be able to support you as you work with clients?
Yeah, we already have a couple that we're working with in that vein anyway.
But do you know them in the same?
No, we don't. Not through the network. No.
But not so much the network. But do you have the same relationship that we try to build within the community?
Not to the same depth.
So do you think it might be useful to invite them along to see if they would be interested in getting involved, so you get to see them?
That was a good sales pitch.
I knew exactly where she was going with that. But the thing is, just going back to the Be Inspired, you've not done the Be Inspired program, have you?
No, that's a Saturday thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Saturdays I was about to swear. But I didn't.
Well done.
I caught myself. So, but that is something we really look at, and the societal influences, you know, because there's nature-nurture argument. You know, you talk about your family experience and being a twin and moving, you know, and then there's all the big stuff, you know, the big stuff that we don't really have much say about. And we knew that putting people in a room together, great people in a room, there was still conditioning that had to be dealt with. And Be Inspired for us was an aid to empowering individuals in respect to that.
Yep.
Plus, on top of that, we do have the art and practice of collaboration being made available next year. So that is something that we'll be putting as an online course, workshop, those kind of things. So we've kind of got it bubbling under. But you're right, a magic pill would be lovely. But understanding who you need to work collaboratively with within your industry, and then pulling those people into an organisation like BeCollaboration in order to generate a deeper, more authentic.
That's the hard bit. I think they genuinely, unless they have, I think they need to have a need to do it, but they also more importantly have to have a want to do it.
Yeah.
They've got to be people who actually want to do it, because otherwise you just don't get anywhere.
Well, I think where we're at, we are at some early stages in terms of collaboration. I think, you being a business coach for how long, and a business owner, people want magic pills, if you like. It's a good example of what's going to help sort some of their problems out. One is always being marketing. Everybody wants marketing.
Everyone. Because
if I get some more business, then that'll solve all the problems. Now, my experience, you get more business, it actually is like alcohol to an alcoholic. It just it makes the problems bigger, because the more money, more clients is more just
pressure.
Just amplifies the issues that are already in the business.
Yes.
So to me, I think we're going to see. I'm going to predict this over the next 2-3 years, is a new heightened appreciation for how collaboration can empower organisations and results. Not just a nice to have, but actually it's a critical skill that at the moment is very much not understood. So you say collaboration, we need sales and marketing. And I think through collaboration and working collaboratively and with context, we can create breakthrough results that get you more sales. We can create breakthrough results that align your team. We get breakthrough results that can create collaborative engagement between, different sets of people, whoever they are.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think that is an emerging consciousness, because it's not readily understood out there. And I think that's something we're going to be pioneering a lot more, and want to be a lot more visible in the world in terms of the benefits and the advantages that collaboration brings to people's businesses and lives. Because I think if you think collaboratively, you can't let people out in traffic, and then you may just take care of your family in a different way, because it's a very generous space to be in. And if we're in competition, you can't be collaborative. You're too busy protecting or defending or justifying something, as opposed to, hey, David, how are we going to make that happen? And how do you see that happening? Do you think that might be a problem, rather than trying to prove you wrong? So we're excited. We're very excited about it.
I think the current world is predicated on making people wrong. I mean, look at current politics. And if you saw, Jeremy Corbyn's been on TV today, and he did, bless him, say that, Theresa May is in a very difficult position and I don't envy her. It's like, well, why do you want to be Prime Minister then? But politics as a general is I'm right, you're wrong. And it's all very black and white. And life isn't like that.
Yeah.
Life is all colours of the rainbow. Everything in between.
We're getting close. We're nearly done. Anything else you'd like to say, David? Anything we've missed?
No, not particularly.
Do you have any pets?
I have a cat.
I want to ask about your family. Tell me about your children.
Yeah.
I have 2 children. I have a 1-year-old boy called Xander, 1.5, and a 6-year-old daughter called Saffron.
Lovely.
Saffron. What pretty names.
Lovely name.
Oh.
Xander.
16.
And what does Saffron think of her brother?
She's only recently stopped trying to kill him, actually. Interesting. We've had plastic bags. We've had things around his neck, pillows on his head. I think now she's realised that it's her little brother, and she's quite protective.
Bless. What's the cat's name?
She didn't want to have him in the house.
Yeah, I can understand it. She was kingpin, wasn't she? So he got in the way.
Yeah, and age of 6. That's quite. That's quite later on to have a.
It's quite a big day in her world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lifetime, isn't it? And what about the cat? What's the cat's name?
Cat's name is Farouche.
Farouche.
Cool.
Farouche. Does he wear a cape?
I don't know. Cat will be getting in its box to come to France, surely.
You take it with them. That's handy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you're getting ready to head off to France, from what I understand.
I will be shortly. What time is it? Yeah, no, a couple of hours.
And how do you travel to France? Do you drive over, or do you?
Yeah. Jump in the car.
Jump in the car straight down.
I've got a quick question. I wrote it down. I forgot to ask earlier. Mortgages, residential, commercial. What's your game?
Resi and buy-to-let.
Buy-to-let. That's interesting.
Residential and buy-to-let. The only reason that we don't do commercial is because if you're going to do something, you have to do it properly. And the commercial space, generally a lot of the lenders make it up as they go along. And if you're not doing it all day, every day, it's wrong to pretend to clients that you're an expert in something that you're not.
I'm going to have an offline conversation with you because I'm in the market for a commercial mortgage.
But we've got.
You might know someone.
Oh, okay. Knows a man who can.
Other companies that we partner to do it, but it's. I think if you're going to do anything, you do it properly. You know, it's important to do it right.
So, anything that you'd like me and Gill to change in terms of BeCollaboration, or do you think we should do? Go on, give it to us. Now's your chance. Otherwise, we won't listen.
I was going to say it'd be nice to know what everybody does, but in reality, I think it's actually quite nice to start with that you don't, because you actually talk to people instead of job roles, which I think is important. You
can find out basics on the website. So
That's
revolutionary. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Yeah.
No, that's nice. It's weird because it's nice to meet people on the back of you're meeting them as opposed to you're talking to a job role, which is invariably what we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that pays such dividends in the long run, because when an opportunity or a need comes up, you've invested in the relationship, and that'll take you all the way, really. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I feel like I've got to know you at a whole other level, which is really great. Well overdue, David.
Can't wait to see your Know in the new year.
When are you scheduled? When's that scheduled?
I can't remember.
Oh, that's
it's
ideal.
about March, April, something like that.
March. Okay. Have a safe trip. Are you back soon, or are you staying for a few days?
No, back Sunday night. We'll go for the weekend.
Okay, cool. Well, have a safe trip. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
And if all I need from you is send me over your links and everything. I'll put them at the bottom of this video when we upload it later on over the weekend. And if you want to get in touch with David, you better do that. Any BeColl news, Gill?
Well, we're finished for the year. We've had our end of year celebration, which was great fun. So I'm looking to possibly do an online meeting in December, just try something out. And maybe even in the new year, have a book club online on the platform. I haven't told you about this. I know, I'm sorry. I've just got all these ideas bubbling under. But basically, back to business in January. 3rd of January will be the first one.
That's early.
Essex, I know. But they're looking at their venues at the moment, so they've just got to sort their venue out. So you'll see that advertised beginning of next week. Hertford is the 11th of January. Gosh, we haven't got December yet. 11th of January. Sorry, the following week, and then London the week after that, which is the 22nd. It's quite early. So
yeah, and we'll be thinking about. We're also looking at setting up possible new meeting venues. So we will announce more about that. We're going through some initial options. And
wherever we end up in London, David will be there.
No, I don't mean that. I meant new meetings. So keep an eye out for that. So lots happening at BeCollaboration. We've got a Be Inspired program on January the 19th, which is Saturday. So start your year off as you mean to continue. That's going to be that's highly redesigned, that program. So we're looking forward to delivering that. We'll be seeing Engage Proper raising its head in January. So we've just been laying foundations for that. So lots of exciting stuff in 2019. And we thank you for being part of it. We'll probably do one more JOP before the end of the year.
Squeeze one.
And we want to thank our guest, David Liddle, for joining us today. Any last words for you, David?
Have a lovely weekend.
You too.
Bring back some Bordeaux.
Give France some love, won't you?
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.